happens next?
10 on your side's Jason Marks sat down with local defense attorney after the verdict came down. And so what did he tell you, Jason?
Well, Tom, he believes the McDonnells could serve anywhere from 7 to 10 years in prison, more time than they would have gotten if they robbed a bank.
I think any time that Bob McDonnell's going to be away from his family is going to be a hard time.
And the former governor could be away behind bars for almost a decade. Norfolk defense attorney Andy Protegiro believes the McDonnell defense was flawed from the start.
But if you get on the witness stand and say, I didn't do anything wrong, I'm a lawyer and I'm splitting hairs, and on top of that, it's Maureen's fault, I don't think that jury's like that.
He says McDonnell should have just told the jury he made mistakes, but he didn't know it was a crime.
I think he was there so defensive. I did nothing wrong, I did nothing wrong, I did nothing wrong. And that's really where I think they blew it.
McDonnell will be sentenced in January. The process for calculating prison time is complicated at best. It's a formula that considers the crime, the amount of money received, and other factors. It looks as if he's facing up to 120 months or 10 years behind bars.
One thing here that no one has really talked about, when somebody takes the witness stand and they roll it and they lose on every count, just about, that means the jury didn't believe what he said. Then that's often in the federal eyes, that's a lie. And if he lied on top of being under oath, on top of being convicted, the judge can consider that when he gives his sentence.
McDonnell was offered a plea deal in December that would have let his wife off the hook and required him to plead guilty to only one charge unrelated to his office duties. McDonnell chose to go to court.
Hindsight, yeah, he probably should have. But right now, you're looking at a former governor of Virginia that if he had held up a bank and stolen $100 and some $1,000, he would probably get about the same or a little less.
So we talk about the process and how a sentence is determined. Protegiro says the feds don't add up every single count. They take the count that holds the most prison time and work off of that one. So why so many counts in the first place, you ask? Well, Protegiro said it's because the more counts you put out there, the more likely you are to get at least one guilty verdict. In the newsroom, Jason Marks, 10 on your side.
So the results of this trial beg the question, were the McDonnells held up as an example of why Virginia's ethics laws need reform?
The McDonnells are done politically. You want to see what those in power are going to do. Is this going to turn into another partisan gridlock issue so that nothing is accomplished? Or are the two parties going to come together and really construct a tough set of ethics laws? And it's really up to the people. If the people don't push the legislators to do it, they'll never do it.
That's Dr. Larry Sabato, professor of politics at UVA, who spoke to us tonight. He also said he wasn't surprised that the McDonnells were found guilty, but was surprised they were guilty on so many counts.
We also spoke to local political analyst Joel Rubin about what this means for the Commonwealth.
It's an embarrassment, but when the General Assembly had the opportunity this past session to really tighten up the laws, they didn't do very much. Governor McAuliffe was calling for much stricter action, and that's what we're going to see possibly when the General Assembly returns to session in January. Will there be some bills put in to tighten up the ethics laws here in Virginia as a result of these convictions?
Our McDonnell coverage continues on wavy.com. Online right now, some of the important evidence presented in the case. You can also check out a timeline of events leading up to the trial.